You like my voice? Okay. Those of you at home, hi, Nene. That's my sister, guys. See her? She's in Phoenix. Oh, she's the one that did Sumit's yoga. Yeah. Kenzie worked for Sumit, by the way. Hey, everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Hi, Leslie. Is it good, the volume? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to start with legs up the wall today. So you can just make your way to a wall. And then you want to scoot your hips far enough away from the wall so that you don't feel the weight of your legs coming into your low back. So take a moment right now and just sort of analyze where you're feeling the weight of your legs dropping down. And if you're feeling it just kind of weighing down into the pelvis, that's good. If you're feeling pressure in the low back, just scoot a little further away from the wall. And you can start to slide your bolster underneath your head. And then take your hands and interlace your fingers underneath your head or slide them underneath the bolster. So it's kind of up to you to decide. What we're avoiding right now is struggle. Okay, so just resting back with your head on the support, interlocking your fingers. Just relax your feet up the wall. Feel your heels kind of resting against the wall. And just start to notice your breath moving into the upper part of your chest. Okay, now for you over here. Just relax your head back, relax the front of the throat, maybe even lift your nose a little bit. And throughout your practice, we'll move our body into different shapes today. And as you move into different shapes, you'll probably notice some sensations in your body. Right now, maybe you're feeling the sensation in the shoulder girdle. And so the founder of this style of yoga, Francisco Kaiut, teaches that the poses are not the problem. So if we work into a pose that feels like it's asking too much of us, or there's a lot of sensation, maybe even borderline on a feeling of pain in the body, the pose is not the problem. The way that we're approaching the pose is most likely the problem. And so we have a tendency to work a little too aggressively in yoga in general, trying to achieve a certain shape or a particular look of a pose. But I'd like to ask you guys to kind of rethink that today and really zero in, really focus in on how the pose feels in your body. And challenge yourself to take a really non-aggressive approach, staying away from an aggressive approach towards any particular look or shape. I'm going to ask you to feel your way in and out of every pose and just work into a place where you feel something, where you just start to feel the body resisting, and then stop there. Go ahead and change the interlock of your fingers underneath your head or underneath your bolster. This might require a little different type of attunement today. Our bodies are truly, truly amazing. Our hands alone, which you're interlocking your fingers, so you're working with the hands right now, have 27 bones, 17 muscles, 20 joints, and 50,000 nerve endings just in our hands. Our bodies are like this amazing work of art. Rather than thinking about nature as somewhere that we go, I'm going to go to nature. Sort of changing that thought process a little bit, recognizing that nature is happening within us all the time, that we are nature. It's not like we really need to go somewhere to connect with nature. We can connect with nature right now. Inside ourselves. Okay, and then now just slowly begin to unlock the fingers. Take the arms by the sides. Okay, and then just start to scoot your body. So whether that means you roll to one side and kind of scoot back on your mat, just scoot your body away from the wall. far enough so that you can lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. So I would go back a little further, Ken's, or you're going to be in a real tight Sukhasana in a minute. Good. Okay. And then once you scoot away from the wall a bit, keep the bolster under your head, lie back. Johnny, you want the bolster under your head. And then bring the feet together and open your knees wide. So we're starting in Baddha Konasana legs, head on bolster, feet together, knees wide. You stepped on a frog, didn't you? Over there. Step on a frog. And now take your hands once again, interlace the fingers under the head or start to slide the forearms under the bolster. Lift your nose, keep the front of the throat easy. And then allow the weight of the thighs, the bones of the thighs, we call those the femur bones, right, Johnny? Femur bones. Johnny's taking anatomy. And just allow the weight of the femur bones to drop with gravity. Okay, so notice if you're trying really hard to control the weight of the legs, see if you can just kind of let the weight go with gravity here. So for this first Batakanasana, you can relax the lower abdominal muscles. Okay, so just keep them nice and relaxed. And then close your eyes. And sometimes your body will react by shaking in this pose if your hips are really tight or if you haven't been in this pose for a while. And during these longer holds, you might start to experience a little bit of shaking in the hips and the thighs. Just let it shake. Let the body do what it needs to do. You know, we can see this sort of miraculous nature in animals really easily. You know, if they get in a tangle with each other or they get scared, the moment that they walk away, you'll see them kind of shake. They're like shaking it off. And that is like a release of the cortisol, the adrenaline. In humans, you know, we're all civilized now, so we don't do that. However, that response when we maybe get close to rear-ending someone or maybe someone gets close to rear-ending us, you know, that response that we have, it increases the adrenaline and the cortisol in our system. And how do we release that? So this work of working with the nervous system and moving your body is so very important to balance and stabilize on the level of nature. So, as evolved as our brains are, we can't think our way out of these things. We are still very much a part of the natural processes. This is your opportunity to just let your body work its magic. Go ahead and change the interlock of your fingers, sliding them over by one. Keeping the lower abdominals relaxed and without raising your knees up, just sliding your feet on the floor. Can you begin to cross your right shin in front of your left shin and create Sukhasana legs? That's it. Good. And try to maybe even work your heels a little further from you and bring your knees a little closer to each other. So this is a well-formed Sukhasana. So Vaughn, you might have to slide back on your mat just a little bit more to be able to adjust your legs in that way. So right shin in front of left shin, but cross your shins, not your ankles. Yeah. Now send your heels towards the wall a little bit. Yes. Good. Very good. The fingers are still interlocked in the same way underneath the bolster or underneath the head. So we talked about the hands. How about the feet? We call these our paws. Feet, 26 bones. 20 muscles in our feet. "27 joints, 70,000 nerve endings." It's not like there's going to be a quiz later or something. I'm just mentioning this to invite you to consider how amazing our bodies really are. Okay, and then just change the interlock of the fingers once again. So slide your fingers over by one. And again, without raising the knees up and just sliding your feet on the floor, can you start to change the cross of your shins? So the left shin will slide in front of the right shin. And keeping the lower abdominals relaxed right now, unless you feel pain in the low back, the hips, or the pelvis. If you're feeling a lot of pain there and it feels better to stabilize, I'll give you an option. You can gently engage the lower abdominal muscles and encourage your lower back down. But unless you're feeling a lot of sensation, then you don't do that right now. You just soften the lower abdominals and let the femur bones weigh down here. As human beings, our lives are getting longer. We're living longer. So maintaining mobility is becoming more and more important as we get older. Today, we're exploring the joints, in particular the hips and the pelvic girdle. We are exploring this area from a few different perspectives. And so we're offering some variety into the hip joints by the way we approach the poses. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. And there's nothing that works sort of like an anti-aging agent more than variety. So we need to change it up. The habitual patterns of movement. The body needs variety. Okay, once again, just sliding the feet on the floor. Begin to bring your feet back together, soles of feet together, knees wide, back to Baddha Konasana legs. And slide your heels as close to your hips as you can now. That's it. And this time, engage the lower abdominal muscles, everyone, and press your lower back down. It's as if you could touch the floor with your lower back. And continue to breathe into the upper part of your chest. Feel the sensations in your body. And now slowly begin to release the arms down by your sides. And then extend your legs forward. So that might mean you have to scoot back a little bit further. If your feet are compressed against the wall, scoot yourself way back so that you can stretch your legs out. Take your arms by your sides and take your feet just a little bit wider than your hips. Your head can remain on your bolster and your whole body is now lying flat on the floor, supported. Close your eyes. Okay, now begin to just roll over onto your right side. And you can eventually start to make your way to your seat. And I'll use Johnny over here as sort of a model for how we're going to set our bolster this time. Johnny, if you could take your bolster and just take it the long way, extending from the wall towards you. Yeah, that's it. And you could bring it a little further away from the wall. Yep. And then come onto your back, facing your bolster the other way. So just flip around. Yeah. And then lie down. So you'll come on your back. But turn around. See, it's so complicated. There you go. Now, yes. So he's going to take his pelvis and place it up on the end of the bolster. Yeah. So you're going to go all the way to the end of the bolster, just like that. So your low back is not supported by the bolster, but your sacrum is. Now you'll lay all the way back. Okay. I think I might have complicated that more than it needed to be, but that's what it needs to look like. Okay. So everybody go ahead and get your seat up on your bolster. The bolster is going the long way on your mat. Okay. And then step your feet up onto your bolster. Yep. So you'll just bend your knees, soles of feet onto the bolster, walk your heels towards you a little bit. And you guessed it. Batakanasana legs. So you're going to press the soles of the feet together and let your knees open out wide. That's it. Okay. And you can take your hands and interlock your fingers once again underneath your head. Your head is on the floor now. Okay. Now, Vaughn, you need to scoot back a little bit because your low back, yep, right there. Good. You want your low back kind of unsupported here. Sacrum supported. Lumbar spine is sort of hanging off the back. Okay, and this is a very good example of what I was talking about earlier with approaching the joints from a different angle. Same pose, different angle, right? So we're using sort of like a leverage system here. Okay, so just like we did before, you'll start to engage the lower abdominal muscles and press the lower back down. Mhm. And again, just recognizing the sensations in the pelvis. and allowing gravity to draw the thighs earthward. So, Kenz, are you pulling the low belly down and pressing the back down? You might be a little high on that bolster. Like if you slid back a little further, so that, no, the other way. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that will help the pelvis to tilt like it should. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Yeah. Good. I think it's because you're bolster. Very good. Keep the action of the lower abdomen. Continue to let the lumbar spine drop towards the floor. Okay, and now change the interlock of the fingers. So walk your fingers over by one. Continue to keep the hands underneath the head, supporting the base of the skull. And then slide your right shin in front of your left shin, coming back to Sukhasana legs. And as you do that, keep the lower abdominals engaged and let your heels go off the sides of the bolster. Vaughn, move both of your shins towards the wall just a little bit more. Yeah. Yes. Yes, you're going to feel something. Yeah. So that looks great now. I was just going to scoot your shins a little. Yeah. You got it. And then just keep pressing your low back down a little. Yeah. Got it? Okay. So some of us, the assumption is that yoga is about stretching. And that might be true for some people or for a lot of people because of the fact that in our society, we sit a lot, whether we're sitting in cars, whether we're sitting at computers, we sit a lot. And bones don't really grow when we're sitting. So we need to move to continue to grow and strengthen the bones. And so, for a large majority of people, yes, yoga does require some stretching of muscle tissue, lengthening of muscle tissue. But for others who are hypermobile, so sometimes we're really open. And our work, if we're really stretchy, bendy people, is to integrate more, to strengthen more. And so the cool thing about the shape that you're in is for those of you that need to open more, you have that opportunity. And for those of you that need to strengthen around the joints because you're hypermobile there, this is working in that direction as well. As it agitates the joint, it will strengthen the joint at the same time. Okay, let's change the interlock of the fingers once again. And then change the cross of the legs. And you can see now that we're working with the same 3 poses, right? It's actually 2 poses, but 2 sides of Sukhasana. So I'm counting that as 3. Feel the groins and the pelvis. Okay, now re-engage the lower abdominals. Continue to let the lumbar spine move down in space. And then start to release your arms by your sides. And now begin to unwind the legs and step your feet to either side of your bolster. And as you press your feet down, remove the bolster from underneath you and place it off to one side of your mat. And then once again, without using the bolster under the head or any other part of your body, just lie your body flat on the floor. So legs extend, arms extend, your whole body resting flat on the floor. The arms are extending by the sides. Yeah, and you can just release a big sigh out through your mouth. And I would like to mention right now that your body lying flat on the floor, this is super, super important to do. Okay, because our bodies are meant to lie on flat, hard surface, like as if we slept on the ground floor of the forest. Okay, now we have all these cushy beds and memory foams and all these other things that accommodate our bodies. But rather, the body should be introduced to accommodating a hard, flat surface. And that's how we keep the spine really healthy. Okay, now just begin to roll your body to one side and eventually make your way up to your seat. Lost your egg. It's actually a good thing if you're a little numb. Okay, we'll use Johnny again if this is okay. Okay, so now you take your bolster the wide way on your mat, sort of like I'm sitting on my bolster like this. And then just get your booty up there. And place your feet on the floor in front of you and measure with one palm's distance from the bolster to your heels. Are you sure? You see me? Bring your feet together. Okay, and then open your knees out wide. So you're going to be in a Baddha Konasana position once again with your sits bones up on your bolster and one palm distance in between the heels and the bolster. And if you can't quite get there, no big deal. Just go as close to the bolster as you can. Okay, but no closer than one palm's distance. And then you can sit up nice and tall and start to drop forward. So you'll crawl the hands forward and just start to let the spine round into flexion. And if you find that going too far forward causes a lot of sensation on the border of pain, you need to come back up a little bit more or walk your hands in. And then some of you, it'll be hard even to get your hands on the floor. So you'll boost yourself up by using pillows under your hands or blocks under your hands or even a folded blanket. Okay, and then once you find the right position for your hands that are supporting you and your spine, then round the spine a lot. Let the head drop. And it's tempting for those of you who are really flexible to support the forehead. I'm going to ask you not to do that. Okay, so let the head hang. Vaughn, can you slide your heels forward just a little bit? Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah, good. And then really round your spine. There you go. And like you can see Kenzie here, if you're looking up, she's down on her elbows and that works for her. So it's totally fine to take your elbows down if you've got that kind of flexibility. Everything is connected. So we will notice some parts of the spine are more rigid than others. And when one part of the spine is rigid, that puts a lot more pressure on other parts of the spine. So what we're working on right now is finding flexion in the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, and the cervical spine. Okay, so we're just feeling our way into that. And to unlock some of the rigidity, first we have to work with opening the hips because the ankles, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the spine, all of it is connected. And let the chin drop towards the center of the chest. And then notice the breath once again moving up into the center chest. No. Yeah, so we're not engaging the lower abdomen right now. Just softening the lower abdomen and allowing the spine to be round. And so most of us are working with some restriction of some kind. It's perfectly normal that our human body, over years and years of use, will experience at some point in time some sort of trauma or injury. So almost 100% of us are working with something. And so again, it's not the shapes, it's the way we're approaching the shapes. We can do that very intelligently by maybe even doing a little bit less. Okay, let's raise the torso back up right now. And as you come back up, sliding the heels on the floor, start to bring your right shin in front of your left shin for Sukhasana legs. Okay, notice how we're moving into the same shape again that we've done in different positions. Now we're up on the bolster, changing the angle. Okay, and you can start to walk your hands forward once again. Support your hands if you need to. If it's too much to come so far forward, then you have something under your hands, or you always have the option to stay upright, working at optimum level rather than maximum level. Okay, think about that. Optimizing the practice by moving to that first layer of sensation and working there. Okay, and then start to raise your torso upright. Once again, sliding the feet on the floor, cross left shin in front of right shin. Adjust your seat so you're super stable, and then just start to walk your hands forward once again. And there will be different sensation from side to side. It's gonna feel different. Contrary to popular belief, we are asymmetrical. So it's gonna feel different. It's gonna vary in sensation from one side to the other. Our job is not to judge that or to make it right or wrong or good or bad. Our job is to notice, to feel. To be inquisitive and curious. And you can practice this here in your physical body, and you can also practice it in your relationships. So I'll give you a little scenario. Somebody says something, let's say it's your significant other. They say something to you that you don't agree with. And immediately you might experience the urge to correct them or to disagree
or to challenge what they're saying or expressing. And something that might be a new and interesting approach might be to inquire, to ask a few questions, and to really try to understand their perspective. One of my teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, he teaches that this is love. Doing our best to understand one another is love. Okay, let's start to walk the hands back in. And we bring ourselves upright and then just carefully unwind the legs. Yay. Come forward off of your support and then lie onto your back. And you'll place the bolster underneath your head now. And you can just come forward. That's it. Yep. And lie down. And as you come onto your back, bend your knees, place the soles of the feet down onto your mat. Okay, and then just start to bring your right knee in towards you. And take your hands to the front of the right knee and draw the right knee towards the center of your chest. So you're going to kind of angle the right knee to the left a little bit, bringing it towards the center chest. And do your best not to let the right hip lift away from the floor. You want to keep the right side of the pelvis and the left side of the pelvis even. And dad, if this is your bad knee or the knee that you're working with, then hold the back of the knee, the thigh rather than the front. Okay. So you're going to be feeling your right thigh compressing into the belly. Keep your right foot relaxed and your left knee pointing at the ceiling. And again, notice the sensations in the groin. Begin to place your right foot back onto the floor next to your left and change sides. So drawing the left knee towards you, you'll bring the knee towards the center of the chest. So sometimes we draw the knee towards the left shoulder. Today, we're bringing the knee more towards the right side. So you're bringing it kind of diagonal in towards midline. And then compress the left thigh against the belly and do your best to keep the left hip on the floor without letting it lift up. And release the tension in the left foot. Very good. And then release the left foot back down to your mat. You'll turn around to face the wall once again and send your legs back up the wall. Head on the bolster, legs up the wall, just for the last couple of minutes here. And those of you at home, if you want to stay longer with legs up the wall, you are more than welcome to do that. You don't have to end when class ends. You can stay for another 5 or 6 minutes here. I've done it where I've stayed for 30 minutes. That's a long time. And then interlocking the fingers underneath your head, and try not to trigger the sense of work at all or effort. And close your eyes and allow yourself to feel the breath moving into the upper part of the chest, lifting your nose just enough to let the front of the throat relax. Gently begin to release your arms down by your sides. And again, those of you at home, you're welcome to stay longer. Mary, Deborah, Leslie, Renee, mom and dad, all of you joining us from home, you're welcome to stay there. If you're in studio right now, you can slide back a little bit further from the wall and roll over to your right side. And just taking this moment here to thank yourself for creating the space in your day to take really, really good care of this body, this vehicle, this gift, this temple. Begin to make your way up to your seat. And then just bring your hands to your heart. And we'll seal our practice with the very sacred and unifying sound of Om. Deep breath in. The divine light within me honors, sees, and is truly grateful for the divine light that exists within each one of you. Bowing humbly forward with deep, deep gratitude. Namaste. Thank you, yogis, for sharing your practice with me today. So lovely to be here with all of you. Thank you, Johnny. Okay, everyone at home, mwah, mwah. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad you're here. Take really good care of yourself, take really good care of others. And until next time, namaste.